Good morning, welcome to TERRA at Home. We're at TERRA with Colleen and we have all these beautiful fruits and berries in front of us, and you made us some scones today. How lovely of you. And this is all to talk about growing your own fruits yourself. Now this is something that I think some people are a little bit concerned with, but you have more control over what you're eating. You know exactly what's inside that little berry.
Exactly. You know how it's grown, where it's grown, what's been used to grow it, and you're also reducing that carbon footprint that we're concerned about as well.
Yes.
It's the whole local movement, growing local, knowing what you eat.
Now the best part about this is you don't have to have a huge plot of land.
Definitely not.
Because there are a lot of dwarf versions that we're going to show you as well today. And in fact, you can just have a patio and you can still be growing raspberries and cherries and all kinds of wonderful things. Okay, so where should we start?
Let's start out front here. Some of the newest varieties that we have are the Brazel berry collection. And the nice thing about those is that they are hardy and they have been created or bred to be grown in a container. So they're dwarf, they're going to have lots of fruit on them. And the greatest thing about the raspberry shortcake here, a raspberry with no thorns.
Oh, and how great is that? Especially if you have animals, especially for yourself, just as you're you know, going away at it throughout the season. So that is actually a really nice advantage for people.
And fruit in planters is really nice too. Like the blueberry, for instance, in the early season you get the little white flowers on it, then you get the berries, and in the fall it actually has a really great fall color.
How great is that, right? So again, you're not only yielding wonderful fruit, but you're also going to be seeing a nice plant throughout the season. So 3 seasons of greatness, really.
And one of the trends too is also, it's called fruit scaping. So because we have smaller yards, it's including like a fruit tree, such as one of these cherries in the background here.
Right.
These cherries are dwarf, but they can be included in any mixed border or use that as an ornamental variety in your landscaping, so you can still have perennials and everything planted around the base of it if you like.
Okay.
And then you'd have this beautiful tree. The cherries in particular are great because they have beautiful spring blooms.
Yes, we know how much we love that.
Yep.
Right?
And then
you always want them to stay. You want those blossoms to stay, but of course, if they did, then we wouldn't get the fruit, right? So. And again, nice idea though, to be able to do that and think about that in your garden. I think a lot of people won't cross their mind to blend a fruit tree in with their landscape.
Exactly. And these two are actually cherries, 2 different varieties of cherries. This one here is called Valentine, and there's a few other similar varieties to it. It's self-fruiting, so you don't need more than one. And it's very small, so it can grow into any backyard. And then the other cherry is one of the multi-variety cherries, which is great because it's got more than one variety of cherry on the same tree.
Now I remember doing interviews in the past with you regarding whether it's an apple that has again an apple tree with different varietals. But again, what a great idea! But you're saying we've even gone further with this now.
Yes.
And we actually grow a fruit salad tree.
Yes. This year we are introducing the fruit salad tree, which will have different stone fruits on the same tree. So a stone fruit are the ones with the pits, like a peach and things like that. So it will have a peach, a plum, and a nectarine all on the same tree.
That is so cool. That's cool. Now we said we're not at the point yet where we're growing raspberries and blueberries on a tree with fruit, but you never know. Maybe a couple hundred years from now.
So I think that's kind of exciting.
A fantastic idea. When we talk about, when you're building your gardens, and people like to build salsa gardens, so they're growing all of the elements of putting together a beautiful salsa. It's the same kind of thing, but having it on a tree, and you have your fruit salad.
Exactly.
I love it.
No, it's wonderful. Like pretty much anything on this table you can grow as well. You can also grow citrus. Now they're not hardy, but you can grow them on your patio, bring them in over the winter. So you can grow limes, even grapefruits. For the grapefruit, you do need a little bit bigger space because they do grow into a sizable plant. But the limes, which are just beside me here, a lemon and a lime, you can grow your own Meyer lemons.
And they're really nice trees too, and you do smell them as you walk by.
Amazing.
They're very fragrant and they're just beautiful to have. But again, it's something that a lot of people don't think that they can do that because we have such a short season. But we do get that nice intense heat that they do like, that when they're growing down in Florida and California. But we do get that for a short period of time, so we can grow them and enjoy them while we can, right?
Yeah, so they can be ornamental as well. And a lot of these things too, you can incorporate them like in a planter pot with mixed herbs, so then you can have that, the whole cocktail drink, if you like.
Yes,
the mint and
raspberry and mint, or strawberry and basil, or those different types of options, right?
And then another one that you can plant too is the rhubarb. Rhubarb is actually a perennial, so it can grow as a backdrop if you're doing it in a mixed border. It's great because it's got gigantic leaves to it, but you only eat the stem, the red part of the stem, and you can combine those with strawberries to make a rhubarb strawberry pie or jam. With the apples, you can also make different things rather than just applesauce. This is like an apple chutney that you can make.
And that's the thing. I mean, we're really taking a look at what we can do. You were talking about, again, the local movement and really being able to look at all the control that you have over this. So let's talk a little bit about, you know, obviously we can go to the steps of canning, but, you know, go back to the beginning of when you do have one of these. Say, for the example, you wanted to have one of these little cherry guys on your patio. How do you take care of him? How do you make sure he's okay? What do you put, how do you fertilize him safely, or do you fertilize him?
It's up to you. There are organic fertilizers. There are now organic soils as well. You can, you know, use your own kind of mixtures of soils. There's tons of different recipes for homemade teas, for instance, but there are organic fertilizers that you can purchase.
Okay.
And you want to, for all fruit, pretty much you need a nice sunny spot. The sunnier it is, the warmer it is, the better they're going to actually fruit.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
Right.
So
that obviously that's important, and they'll yield. In terms of watering.
Keep them watered. Most of them don't like to be soaking wet, so I wouldn't be planting them like in a ditch or something like that.
Right. Okay.
But they do require enough water, especially to get established. The ones, especially if you're going to be planting them in planters or pots, you will need to water those more frequently.
Okay.
When you're planting them in pots, you're using a topsoil, not a topsoil, sorry, a potting mix, so that you do get the drainage and they're not going to be soaking wet all the time.
Very good. That's important. So you really have to make sure you choose the correct soil. Obviously a sunny environment, as you say. Now then, at the end of the season, as we go into fall, into winter, you were saying you remove them obviously from the outdoors, and then you can keep them indoors.
Anything that's potted, you can bring them inside just like you would any other container that has something you want to overwinter.
Okay.
Overwinter it in a garage. If you don't have a garage or something, you can pull it just towards the house. And what I would usually recommend is once it's gone dormant, let the frost hit it, and so that it's gone to sleep.
It knows what to do, right?
Yeah, make sure that it's water. They like to go to bed wet. And then just kind of cover it up, protect it with like an old comforter, old blankets, just to help insulate it. Because if it's not in an environment where it's got more consistent temperature, like an unheated garage, then it's the freezing and the thawing that usually gets it.
That's what'll get it. Okay, and then so then it'll be fine over winter. Do you need to prune it down?
I usually let it sit, and then in the spring you can prune it back.
Spring it back.
Yeah, and the same thing if anything's that's planted in the garden, just let it kind of go dormant naturally. Some of them you can put like a little extra layer of some cedar mulch just to protect it. With the fruit trees and things, you do want to probably put a wrap around it so the rabbits don't, you know, have a little munch on it.
Yes, makes sense.
Yeah.
So again, a really good investment for you though, because you are, again, you're yielding food for your family, and again, as you know, all comes down to, we know what's in it. We know what we're eating, and that is the best part of all. And as you say, we can pretty much grow anything, and you were even saying,
if you can grow grapes, you can make your own raisins.
There you go. Thus the raisin scones. You're the best. You should bake more often, Colleen.
Okay.
Okay. Deal. Thank you so much. We're going to have more TERRA at home after this quick break. Please stay with us.
Live color fully at TERRA, where color lives.
Good morning. Welcome back to TERRA at Home, at a great place this morning here, Creekside Estate Winery down in Niagara. And I'm here with Matt, and we have the pleasure of having a gorgeous morning to be shooting with you out here on the patio.
Definitely.
And thanks for having us into your space. So I'm holding a glass of wine, of course, because we're at this wonderful winery. And we're excited because we're talking about new vintages right now and moving into a new season, a new summer, and towards harvest in the fall. So let's talk a little bit about what we have in our glass right now.
Absolutely. Well, Creekside Estate Winery is one of its sort of founding varietals is Sylvian Blanc.
Yes.
And I couldn't think of a better summer wine or a better fresh sipper for an event like New Vintage. It's
Right.
the perfect time of season for it.
It is, and I was saying to you that I actually really love this particular wine. It is very refreshing. It's great to have in the summer, and it's right here in Ontario. We're
Absolutely.
so lucky, right?
Yep.
So this is a great taste. Describe some of the sort of the notes to it
Sure.
to our viewers.
Sylvian Blanc is traditionally a very crisp, refreshing white wine. It depends on when you like to harvest it, but we can get flavors that range from very fresh, grassy, lemongrass, citrus, grapefruit, or if you want it a little riper, we can leave it on the vine longer, get more tropical flavors.
Right. Okay, and that's where you will get such a different, again, flavor variety from just one grape.
Absolutely, it's a very versatile white wine.
Very versatile. Okay, so we're sitting here and we have this wonderful food in front of us as well, and that's the best part, is pairing food and wine together. So you have an amazing chef you can tell us a little bit about as well.
Absolutely, yeah. We were very excited this year. Creekside's had the deck at Creekside, which is our
Yes.
lunch destination, right in the heart of wine country, and we've been doing it since 2008. And this year we brought on Chef Nathan Young, and he's a very skilled chef. He has a long culinary background as executive chef at a few wineries in Niagara, and also previously at Canoe in Toronto as a sous chef there.
So he knows his stuff.
Absolutely. No, he knows his way
Kind of
around
knows
the
what
kitchen.
he's doing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so we have this incredible burger here that we're joking because we're shooting here nice in the morning time. But hey, you know what? This is good anytime, right? This is a hearty breakfast for you. But this is that typical fare that you would have on the deck.
Yes, Nathan's passion really is barbecue and smoked meat, and he has a really honest, rustic approach to food. So everything he does is made from scratch. He's very excited about it. There's big, bold flavors, and that kind of matches the winery wine portfolio. We like big, bold flavors as well.
And that's always fun for a chef to be able to create a menu based on the flavor profiles that you have with your wines, right?
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
everything goes together nicely.
Yeah, we have
Complements.
some great matches for sure. And this is a house ground chuck burger. It's called the smoked burger. So he does actually lightly smoke it for about an hour, and then he grills it off.
Wow.
And homemade bacon, made in-house, and then all the fixings. It's a fantastic burger.
Amazing, and that's one of many, again, from from cheese plates to, which would be very typical for people to have with some wine, just to come in. Again, it's a lunch destination, as you mentioned. So coming and sitting out in the patio, having a couple glasses of wine, and some really just nice items on your menu to pair with.
Yeah, it's a great setting too. You've got the view of the vineyards, you have
Yes.
the pond. It's a very sort of light, casual dining experience that's a lot of fun. And we're doing it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, all summer long.
That's
right
awesome.
up to October.
Now, the best part about this is we, coming up next weekend is the start of the Discovery Pass for the summer season.
Absolutely.
Down here in Niagara, and it's always fun. People love doing it seasonally, and you were involved. So describe how this Discovery Pass works for people.
Yeah, it's a great way to tour wine country for as part of the New Vintage Festival. So there's 41 wineries participating in the Discovery Pass. A lot of wineries are going to have new wines coming out, and exciting food pairings to go with them. We have Chef Nathan doing something special for us that weekend as well, and we're releasing our new vintage, which is and a new label to boot. But this is it's a different look for us. This is how we're doing our labeling going forward.
That's the direction you're going. Very nice.
And it's Riesling, which is not something we've done for quite some time. But Riesling is another great fresh summer wine.
Yeah.
And it's something new that we're doing, so we thought what better time to release it than New Vintage.
Exactly. Okay, so again, people can come in.
Yes.
They have the Discovery Pass, and it's a bit of a food and wine pairing when they come.
Absolutely, yeah. They get a Discovery Pass, and that gets them into, I think it's 6 wineries with that passport, and there's a special food and wine pairing set aside for them at each venue.
That's great.
Yeah,
and then if they want to, they can stay for lunch too.
We'll be
Might
open.
as well throw it in there, right?
Might as well. For
So
sure.
fun, so fun. So from that, of course, the experience here at the winery and being able to be in the front area where you can taste different wines and really experience from whites to reds. Let's talk a little bit about your red as well before we move on to talk about some of the other wonderful events coming up.
Absolutely. Creekside over the years, since we opened in actually the late 90s, we have a great reputation for big, bold red wine. One of our specialties is Syrah, which is not very common in Niagara, but we've had great success with it. Another one is Laura's Red, very full-bodied blend. This is a newer vintage as well, which would go perfectly with that burger.
Sure.
And it does. Our reds perform quite well. We have a very large underground barrel cellar. That's sort of one of our secrets to making these sort of very robust, bold red wines.
And that's the thing, reds have really come a long way in the Niagara area, and you guys actually do a really good job with your reds. We've seen, obviously the strong whites over for many, many years, and you guys have been around a long time, as you mentioned, since the late 90s, so you have really grown, but the reds have grown as well, and
they have.
That's nice to see.
Yeah, the winemaking in Niagara, 20 years ago, there was a few hidden gems in the region, but now there's so many great producers, and every year we learn new techniques or new vineyard management ideas, and yeah, the quality of the wines has grown astronomically. I think it's fair to say that Ontario wines can compete on an international stage, no problem.
Oh, absolutely, and you're seeing that, right? You're seeing a lot of awards, and the LCBO has really picked up and appreciated your wines over the years, and that's really great to see. When you're talking about the reds, and you're talking about you know, a Shiraz versus a Syrah, what is the difference with that?
That's sort of potato.
Right.
So Syrah started in Europe, specifically largely in France and the Rhone region. Australians brought it into their vineyard areas, and just through the dialect started calling it Shiraz. So it's really just a name difference, but
it
it's also
people
become
sometimes, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess the nuance to it is there is a style difference. So when you're getting Syrah, think of it should be typically from a cooler climate, meaning that it's a little more elegant, a little more structured, and a little more spicy. Probably a little better with food pairing, and I would say more ageable as well. Shiraz, on the other hand, is big, robust, jammy fruit, very higher alcohol than Syrah normally, and that's sort of the distinction. So it's really a climate difference.
Good to know, because people do wonder, right? All right, so we do need to talk about the tailgate party that's coming up as well.
Love the tailgate.
And yes, it's so much fun. It is the blast. So typically we get really great weather, just like this, and explain just how the event runs.
Yeah, there's 40 wineries that are going to be pouring. I should mention the tailgate party is actually held in a vineyard in Niagara-on-the-Lake,
right?
Which makes it a very cool setting.
And a different location every year.
Absolutely, every year it's a different vineyard, so it's always something new for people coming. We basically load up the pickup truck and fill it with wine and drive it off to the vineyard, put the tailgate down, and pour wine off the back. So you've got 40 wineries doing this, and 8 different culinary partners, including Nate from In the Smoke Cookery here at Creekside. He's going to be bringing his big smoker on the trailer hitch and be down there smoking beef brisket.
And that's the best part about it. I think what's so great about Niagara is, you know, I mean, it's when you're growing grapes, it's a farm. It's a farm industry. That's what it is. And you get back to, you know, then people hold wineries in such high regard, as they should. But then you get back to sort of the, hey, this is what this is. It's casual, but it's fun, and it's just a great night. People again walking around all around the perimeter, all these different wineries and food, and it's just a fantastic night.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. You really get back to sort of the roots, pardon the pun, of winemaking.
Right, exactly.
And it is. It's you're out in the vineyard, you've got some food, some wine, there's live music, it's under the stars, it's a great night.
And find a great place to stay down here in Niagara and stay overnight. And
lots of accommodations.
And you don't even have to drive, which is awesome. So you can, you know, have a couple glasses of wine.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having us in here again, Creekside Estate Winery. Now, we want to make sure people know exactly where it is. It's not in Jordan Village.
No, no. We are in the township of Jordan, in Lincoln, just off the highway.
Just off the highway. Very easy to find. Cheers to you. Thank you so much, Matt.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers. We'll be back with more TERRA at Home right after this.
Live color fully at TERRA, where color lives.
Heritage Perennials. Look for us in the blue pots.
Good morning. Welcome back to TERRA at Home. We chose a really lovely rainy day to tape this segment today, so you might hear the rain. But we're cozy inside, and hopefully you're at home while you're watching this segment as well. So we're actually making ceviche today, and we want to explain to everybody what ceviche is.
So it's a style of cooking, and what differs this from most styles of cooking, usually involves some sort of heat or something like that.
Right.
This is all your ingredients are being cooked in acid. So lemons, limes, a little bit of orange, all that acid will actually cook this down and make it like as if it would hit this a stove or heat.
How great is that, right? And so again, we're saying it's kind of a sort of a Spanish influence. I know one of my really good friends, Lisa, she's Mexican, and she often does ceviche. And you can do it with all different types of seafood, and make some really great flavors. And it is amazing how acid actually can cook something.
It can. It takes a bit of time. Ideally, you want a ceviche to sit for probably about 4 or 5 hours.
Okay.
You do want it to sit and marinate and let that take its time to cook.
Right.
And in the fridge.
In the fridge.
In the fridge.
Or it's actually going to jump out of the dish and crawl across your counter.
You definitely want it in the fridge because it is raw fish and raw seafood you're talking about. But once it's done, it firms right up. It is cooked all the way through.
Okay.
So,
is it, when you're doing carpaccio, is that
Yes.
sort of a similar type of thing, or?
with carpaccio, like if you're doing a beef or even a fish carpaccio, what
Yes.
you're doing there is you're freezing it. So you're normally crusting it in salt and you're freezing it. So the salt would draw out some of the moisture.
Okay.
But by freezing it, you're killing any
what
bacteria
you're doing
that
with
are
that
in
one.
there.
Okay.
With this one, you're using the acid
Acids. Okay.
to kill bacteria.
All right, very good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the one thing about ceviche is there's a lot of components to it. So it's a bit of prep ahead of time.
Yes.
Okay. So you want to get a jump on that and then finish it off and then put it aside and
Right.
let it sit. And do
So a
its
lot
thing.
of prep work, but
Lot
then
of
it
prep work.
kind of takes care of itself
Then I
after
think
that.
that's it. And
So
the way
no
it goes.
cooking.
You know what's nice about it? It's nice, fresh, and light for the summertime, which is great. You know. So we have some diced tomato, some celery.
I've noticed they're quite finely diced as well.
Yeah, you do want it, fairly diced, so it's nice and small. That way, it doesn't take too long. It breaks down fairly easily for you, and it's not big chunks when you're putting it onto a plate.
Right.
Now, excuse me, we have a little red onion. I'm going to use a little bit of red onion, and we're going to dice this. I don't need the whole thing. We're going to do a nice fine dice with this as well. And we'll throw the onion in.
That's a nice color too.
Adds color, adds a little bit of
that's good.
sweetness, nice flavor. All right,
Okay.
now we have some cucumber, and I'm just going to peel a little bit of this back, some of the skin off. You can take it right off if you prefer. I like having the skin on there. I know it's the healthy part of the cucumber,
Right.
but I do like the color variation as well. And we're going to dice this, so I'm going to cut it into 4. This could be a little bit larger dice just because it is basically water that's in a cucumber.
Exactly. Yep.
I'm going to throw some cucumber into there.
Okay.
Then we have a chili,
Small but mighty.
small but mighty. And
But-
all I'm going to do is I'm going to split it
Uh huh.
and I'm going to stick it in like that. And that way, if you find that you're tasting it and you're finding it's getting too spicy, just yank it out.
Okay.
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 So where if you dice it up, it's already mixed
Oh,
in.
it's in there.
It's in there. It's
You're
not coming
committed.
out. You're committed to it. Exactly. We have some cilantro.
My favorite.
Just give that a real rough chop.
Oh, that's gonna taste so good in there.
Again, nice and fresh, light. Really gives it a sense of authenticity to the whole dish.
Yes.
So that goes in as well. Avocado.
All the perfect ingredients. I love all this stuff.
That's the beauty about this style of cooking. It's so fresh and everything is done on the spot and light, and
Yeah, this is summer written all over it.
this is
isn't it?
definitely summer.
It was interesting to watch you cut an avocado, because I eat avocados almost every day, but just to see how you're cutting it up. Everyone has their own technique. Some people will spoon it out. Some people chop it out in chunks before they cut it out. All comes out in the end.
It all comes out. And we're going to cut this one down just a little bit more. There we go. And we're going to throw that in.
Oh, this is awesome.
And you definitely want to find those ripe avocados. So
Yes.
it's going to take a little bit of work. Now, I did notice the other day when I went to buy the avocado, they have 2 sections now.
Yep.
Ready to eat,
Love
and
that.
then the other ones that
I
are
always
sitting
do that.
there.
I always got 1 or 2 that are ready to eat,
Ready to
and then
eat.
I grab some that are ones that are super green, and then I don't have to go to the store every day.
Exactly.
I
Touch of
like
salt,
bananas.
a little bit of pepper. Now, I'm going to take, I've got this nice little knife here, and I have some shrimp. What I'm going to do, they're already cleaned and deveined,
Right.
but I'm still going to split them in half. And this just helps speed up the cooking process.
Okay.
Plus, doubles the amount of shrimp that are in the dish.
Sure.
Not by volume, but just by pieces. So everybody make sure that they get some.
And you don't need to have a big chunk of shrimp in there,
No.
because you have all these other great elements, right? So
A lot of times you'll find ceviche where they'll just dice it. They'll dice the shrimp
Yes.
as well and put it in chunks.
Yep.
So we're going to do that.
So when it comes to ceviche, I mean, sometimes you'll look on certain menus at restaurants that carry ceviche. They all have all different variations from different styles of seafood and different flavorings. So there's a lot you can do with this. You kind of really.
There is quite a bit that you can do with it. There's
as long as you have the acid, right?
You need the acid. You don't necessarily always have to have seafood in it either. There's a lot of ceviches that I've seen out there that are just the acid with different fruits and cucumbers and stuff like that.
Exactly.
And it is a nice dish as well. I like the seafood, but I'm a seafood eater, so.
Right, right. But it's great for people who are complete vegetarians that they can have a really tasty, kind of almost sort of a salad in a way.
Now, what I do suggest is when you're buying the fish that you're going to be putting in there, I like to, as a general rule, you're probably safe with most fish, but I like to pick fish that are predatory fish. Okay. Then I don't have to worry too much about, parasites and stuff like that, or being a bottom feeder.
Right. Okay. So you know what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break. So what fish was this one? This one's swordfish. Swordfish. Okay. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll get this all going and show you the final product.
Live color fully at TERRA, where color lives.
You've sat under them and built forts in them. You've swung from them and fell out of them. You've even fallen in love under them. Trees have always held a special place in our hearts and memories. A natural beauty, trees will grow with you and your family and bring color and nature into your world. For your assurance of quality, look for trees and shrubs with the Medallion plant tag. Medallion plants, locally grown, the pride of Niagara.
Good morning, welcome back to TERRA at Home. We are back with Chef Mark, and our ceviche is almost ready. So
almost ready,
that's what we wanted to talk a little bit about, was identifying when ceviche is ready, since you are only cooking it with acid.
So what you want to look for is you want to make sure that the fish is nice and firm. Okay, if the fish is still really, really soft, it hasn't cooked all the way through, so you do want that fish to be nice and firm. You want your shrimp to be nice and pink. Make sure that all the ingredients have incorporated really well. And at that point, once you know that the fish and everything is nice and firm and pink, and like I said, then you can start tasting it for salt, pepper, because you will have to adjust that.
Okay, right.
That's one thing that people make the mistake of. They either over-salt it at the beginning, and then it's too salty, you can't do anything about it. This is one of those dishes you can adjust after, almost just before plating.
So once those flavors have all melted together, then that's, as you say, that's when you're really going to be able to tell if you need to add something, right?
And the longer it sits, the more it incorporates those flavors. You know, if you let that sit overnight, for sure, you're going to get a real good, amount of tomato in there. The cilantro is really going to come alive. The cucumbers are going to still be nice and firm and crispy, but you're going to get that flavor as well, that freshness. So
you're really looking for, again, the density with the fish as well as the color.
The color and the density, and you just want everything to make sure that it's looking good. This one it's just shy of being there. We wanted it a little bit longer.
And you want to identify that because again, as you say, the shrimp are, you want them to be that nice peachy kind of pink color.
That pink color, so I'm going to put some in there. And then what I'm going to do with this one is I just have some green onions here.
While you do that, again, I just want to remind everyone at home that you can get this recipe on our website at terragreenhouses.com. And again, just experiment with it. Make sure you're safe, and it's better to err on the side of the caution. And keep it in overnight. Why not? A little bit of orange.
A little bit of orange zest, and this will add a little sweetness to this as well.
Awesome. How great! What a great dish.
Very nice dish.
It's fantastic. Thanks, Chef Mark.
You're welcome.
Good. I like that. Can't wait to try it. Have yourself a great weekend.